Let's see the red button, and now we see it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth session of the first day of Techstar Startup Week Next Gen. I always like to have guests that are freaking younger than I am, and one of those guests is like Tuğra. He knows a ton more about his own technology, Rigel Tech and Volco VR, and he's going to tell us a little bit more. We met like 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, when I was in.
I guess so. 5 or 4 years ago, in 2017 or 18,
nice.
I guess.
So he still has hair, which means he's struggling entrepreneur is trying to keep his hair together, doing something like a breakneck technology called virtual reality. And people used to think, no, nobody will use virtual reality. We all like to come together, hug each other, and then the COVID hit. Yeah. Now everybody is like, what? Why isn't virtual reality not ready? We should have it more. And now it's a different world. Just tell us a little bit about what drove you to VR. What do you think will happen in VR? Is it something really happening these days?
Okay. Just let me share some screen first.
Perfect.
Let me so.
Kadir will let you do it. Nice.
So you asked.
You can make it full screen.
It's full
if
screen,
you can make it full screen, we can see your notes. It's not in slideshow mode yet.
No. Well, actually, it's not. I'm using dual screen for another thing. That's
okay.
Can you see? Can you? But you see it full screen right now, right?
Let's see. I can still see your notes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Just a second.
Yeah, this happens in StreamYard.
Interesting.
Well, it's not in VR, so PowerPoint still is like normal reality, so it fails all the time.
Exactly. So you just a second.
See. Sure, no worries. We only have like 25 minutes left. That's it. Nah, we have all the time. We have all the time we want.
So
we are pretty much on time.
Currently, can you? Okay, just a second.
Sure.
Oh, it should be the opposite, actually. I don't know why.
Microsoft always surprises people. And since we don't have Microsoft as a sponsor, I can say whatever I want. By the way, I mean, I'm a Microsoft guy. I hated the Mac versus app, Mac guy versus Apple guy advertisements. I don't know if anybody remembers them. But I'm not I think I'm kind of in the middle. As a bean counter myself, I'm more of an Excel and Microsoft guy. But then I became more entrepreneurial.
I am planning to share the full screen. You should be seeing yourself. And how is it now?
Perfect. It is amazing. Yes, take it away.
Because doing the application share, Windows share didn't work actually, so I just shared the full screen.
Nice hat, nice tie.
I hope you don't see my hidden files. So
no, not really.
Thanks, Susan, for this great introduction and also for this great patience. You asked me my why. Actually, my why is kind being a superhero, I guess, because this virtual reality lets you do anything you can imagine, since it's fully digitally created environment. I'm originally a lifelong learner who has a background in electronics engineering. I'm a gamer. It's one of the most proud definition of myself. I'm playing games since Commodore 64. Some of you may remember. You definitely should remember, as you are older than me. And I'm the entrepreneur, founder of Rigel Technology. Since my university ages, I guess, I dreamed to be literally in games, physically controlling my in-game avatar, using my hands, legs, eyes to immerse myself. But in early 20s, 2000s, when I was in college, it was not that possible, right, like we do here today. But eventually, it became much more advanced, everything on the electronic side, software side, and we started to actualize what we dreamed during this journey. So eventually, I guess I do it with my company. We are developing motion capture systems, motion solutions for XR technologies and for other industries, of course. What we do, we actually observe a human body, convert your movements into data, and use it to improve your quality of life. But I will come to it later. So I just want to start with a simple brief, with the VR and XR and the differences with the AR and VR for those who are not familiar with the technology. And also I want to share a brief history before stepping into the other sections. So let's start with a cold definition. That's what's virtual reality. Virtual reality is a digitally created environment that can be interacted physically by the user through the available electronics, of course, such as VR headset and the controllers. I particularly picked this definition from 2 or 3 definitions on the internet about virtual reality, because it consists of glows. Here in this definition, there are glows, but we actually, with the current status of the virtual reality, we even skipped the glows part, and we even started to use our naked hands to control the virtual reality with the current technology. So what's the difference with the augmented reality and the virtual reality? The difference of the AR and VR is pretty much related to the difference on what they actually use as visual layer. In the augmented reality, as its name suggests, there is a reality, and the physical layer reality and the tech augmented reality just augments it. You use an AR glass in your physical life environment and enhance your physical environment with the holographic add-ons. However, the virtual reality is totally the opposite. There is a digitally created environment, for the user to experience, and there is nothing physical, real as we consume it, and the digital world is, experienced fully virtually. So, by the way, you can follow, right? I can see you since I shared all my screen. Everything all right?
It's working flawlessly.
Okay. Good. I can't see anything, so I just wanted to be sure. So when we get to the history of virtual reality a little bit, that's a VR concept originally started with Morton Halleck in 1957. He's a cinematographer, and he patented Sensorama, this large product. He actually wants to improve how we experience cinema. He tries to improve the visual quality here, includes some smell, some wind to your cinema experience. It is interesting. I won't follow every milestones in the virtual reality, but since then, since the Morton Halleck, since the 50s, we talk about the virtual reality, and most of the people actually interested in VR, who are interested in VR, call 70s and 80s as the first VR wave, and the 2010s, these days, as a second VR wave. I'll share some key takeaways from the history of virtual reality instead of following every single milestone here. The most important takeaway would be that the technologies I will share soon are very similar to those used by the Morton Halleck actually. In the 1950s. And secondly, when we actually diagnose the history of virtual reality, when we read about it, entertainment industry always became the locomotive. We even see some movies dedicated to it. Tron movie in 1982 and The Matrix in early 20s, took mass market attention to virtual reality, and this has been like that and always will be, because the entertainment is all about the rich experience for our senses. The visual senses, other senses. And when we think about the virtual reality, we see that the VR is practical definition of the rich experiences of our senses. I'll talk about senses further in the next stages, especially for the future of VR section. So we talked about the background story of virtual reality, how it all started. Let's go through what I call Oculus Era, and some examples from virtual reality as we know of today. Oculus Rift, the reason I call it as Oculus Era is a VR goggle reinvented in 2010 by Palmer Luckey and the legendary John Carmack from Doom game. Palmer and John did put their Oculus Rift to Kickstarter on 2012 and received $2 million worth of pre-order. This was actually the proof of concept of the new generation virtual reality because we saw people desires VR systems as long as they are relatively affordable. And eventually, obviously, Mark Zuckerberg also convinced as well as we do. And Oculus was acquired by Facebook in 2014 for $2.3 billion. So after the first, two production release, Oculus Rift released their first consumer edition in 2016. It was actually a wired OLED screen that is powered by the powerful gaming PCs laying in our home, and the games were being reflected to dual screens in your headset and camera-like reflectors. They were tracking your head and hands, and just to reposition your body and the heads and controllers in that virtual reality technology. Today, the technology behind is still similar. We see the Quest 2. We still see the camera-like reflectors called base stations, and the HTC Vive, Oculus Rift, or other brands are using similar technologies. However, with the new inside-out tracking, all the experience moves into the wireless standalone experience, as we saw right now on the Quest. So, even further than that, we even started to use our naked hands and skip the gloves or the controllers, especially for some specific VR games and applications. But is that all? I mean, is virtual reality just a dual screen with controllers? Of course not. When we think about the future of VR, even the technologies that we are talking and experiencing today, rather than the common belief, we are just starting. VR needs more interactivity, more senses, more realistic approach, and which is enhanced smells, haptics, climate control, and the body movements. It is the actual future of VR, and we all already started to experience them. Not the future already today. For example, there is a product called Feel Real, which provides the smell of that digital environment which a user is experiencing in virtual reality. Imagine that if you're walking through a lavender garden, you can actually smell it now. The technology behind is similar to regular printer. There are multiple cartridges, of concentrated smells, odor, and the system releases them when necessary. Just very similar in like the one we talked for the 1950s. So if you're a gamer and you're a fan of first-person shooters, there has been an explosion, for example, and you smell the powder of that explosion. Another sense we started to integrate to our VR experience is touch sense, through the haptic feedbacks. Smelling the explosion may not be enough, for some first-person shooter fans, and they actually want to feel when they are shot, from where they are shot. Are they shot from back, or are they shot from chest? There are some products like we see on the screen right now. It's called Woozer. It's a haptic model that uses sound waves, very similar to our subwoofer, like strap on our chest in this case, a micro subwoofer strapped on our chest that uses sound waves to let users feel anything we are able to hear, make it an explosion or a gunshot. Okay, smelling or feeling an explosion, they are great. But what would you do if I say that you can now feel the ambient temperature of your VR experience? Yes, there's a product called Thermoelectric Sensors inside the product Thermoreal. It is amazing, and you start to feel the temperature of the VR environment you experience. If you get into a large cold room, like just you see on the screen, you start freezing actually. If you move into a hot room, you burn like a hell. So, okay, you are able to experience virtual reality in many ways. What about the movement? Today we are still controlled with controllers, and moving inside that cutting-edge technology is not so different than a gamepad you use for FIFA. It's funny, you still use a thumbstick or touchpad just to control your full body inside the virtual reality. Here comes Walkover, our brand in VR gaming. What we do, as I mentioned in the beginning of this presentation, we as Rygel we observe human movements, convert it into data, and use it to improve the quality of life. We work with the motion capture. We convert your physical body movements into digital movements, so you can actually walk in place with your own legs in real life, and you actually walk or run or sprint in your VR experience. Hence, we eventually use the motion capture algorithms and enhance your virtual reality experience through your body movements. For example, you can chase your enemies by sprinting in real life, or you can just run away from zombies, again, physically with your own body in real life. I'm not extending our part so much to stay in time to keep my time efficient. So however, we can discuss further in Discord for those who are interested. So we talked about the brief history. We talked about the VR today. We talked about additional interactions, what we call future of VR, but we are already experiencing them today. Now, I'd like to proceed with some technologies that may even scare us. There are eye tracking, facial recognition, photorealistic development of your avatars or the environments. Today, we started to see some extreme developments in eye tracking and facial recognition. Facial recognition, I mean the facial gesture recognition and mimicking them. Now, digital systems like the one you see here, a Vive product, HTC product, they can track your eyes, facial gestures, and on top of it, they can actually even replicate them so properly. It's not all. Epic Games released MetaHuman, as you just see right now, a photorealistic human creation tool that provides unbelievable realism for your digitally created human figures. When we combine them with photorealistic environments, just as you see right now on the screen, we face a fact, humanity starts to create its own reality. It is funny, kind of science fiction, but we started to play a role of the god, literally. So when we consider all these technologies, I mentioned, I want to focus on three distinct points. I want to point them out. First, where to focus while developing technologies for virtual reality, of course, the main question for this presentation. Is it a software language? Should we focus or the protocol that we develop, or maybe the right hardware, VR system, that's we choose to work on? They're important for sure, but actually none of them is as important as the experience you will provide to VR users. The developers or entrepreneurs who listens to this session must focus on one thing, the experience they will provide to virtual reality users. Do you literally change the way they experience virtual reality? And do they like it? Are they willing to pay? We should focus on the right experience, and we should focus to convert users' digital experience to physical one, to make it as real as possible. The rest, everything, the selection of the software language or the choosing the right platform, just comes after the experience. Secondly, the feature will belong to what I call supersets. Like the super apps of today that we talk, the super apps in China. There will be supersets, a combination of multiple hardware products that enhances your VR experience in many ways. They will combine many senses into one hardware, and on this particular side, Facebook and Neuralink will be the candidates to follow, according to me, because Facebook is already leading the market with the Oculus headset. So I predict they will acquire many VR hardware companies one after the other. Neuralink, on the other hand, is Neuralink of the Elon Musk, as you know, or is the subject of another speak, of course. However, I predict its extreme usages in virtual reality, and Neuralink, when it is ready, which I think not earlier than the next 10 or 15 years. When it is ready, when it is available, Neuralink will revolutionize the virtual reality experience, and it will totally change the way that we experience it. Currently, we still use the most advanced version of the technologies used in 1950s. However, Neuralink will totally change the picture. Lastly, due to the extreme realism that we will face, the future advertising tech, ed tech, will evolve into something we can't even imagine right now. With eye tracking, photorealistic avatar, and environment creation, the ability to mimic somebody's real gestures. Imagine that your best friend is promoting a product in their very digital versions while you are experiencing virtual reality. We will even probably discuss the ethics on this technology, and we may even forbid the usage of some certain tech in this area. And again, Facebook may be the leading company in that part as well, because of its position in paid marketing for the digital marketing side. So it was actually all from my side, and I will be happy to answer the questions if you have any.
I mean, the fundamental question is very simple. I had been following a few master classes, master lectures on philosophy of science fiction and utopia, and many others while I'm driving. I spend my time mostly now, or partially in Izmir, so I drive a lot from Istanbul to Izmir. So it takes 4.5 hours, and a great master class is like 8 hours. So I finish all of them in one drive. One of the things is like, how can we make sure the Minority Report type of virtual reality interfaces will not be ethically bounded to simple or single companies? Like, it's great demonstration. I think it was like maybe 15 years ago when this was shot. It will happen. Like, there's no way it will not happen. And
exactly.
Will Facebook own the whole thing? Will Google catch up? Will there be other players? Because the mega corporations, for them, they have not been able to touch us physically. Now, they actually don't need to touch us. They will have it in us. And you spoke about Neuralink. They will have it implanted in us. But let's not go with Neuralink. But even if it's not implanted, you're sitting in your couch, you're playing a game, you're immersed. You have the sense, you have the sense, you have the movement, you have vibrations. Your physical body is consumed. They are now touching you, quote unquote, or touching your brain, mingling with your brain. How do you see this will play out in the general sense, in terms of new technology emerging, new opportunities, new business models? Or is this just another doomsday scenario waiting to happen?
In short, it's another doomsday scenario waiting to happen.
I agree. I like your pessimism. Good job.
Because there's when we consider what Facebook did in the past decade, just in the paid marketing, I don't believe any governmental policy or any other law or human right issues can prevent Facebook to do that, or Google, or Neuralink, or any other company. Currently, unfortunately, there is no, according to me, of course, there is no right or wrong in this, but I don't believe that we can stop it unless, how to say, collaboratively, we resist using those companies' products.
Technology.
Otherwise, no policy can track. That you can block one thing, you can block another approach, you can block a third approach, but you can block on all the approaches. When we think about the super apps on the smartphones, when we think about the super sets on the hardware side, as I predict here, that's there are lots of things that you have to block, and eventually it comes to a question that should you block everything or should you allow everything? So I don't believe any policy or governmental issue can prevent companies like that. Only the collaborative resistance consciousness can actually prevent us from going that far.
I mean, people will not. No, there are a lot of people who's not going to like it, but I start thinking about the emergence of immersive media or immersive exploitative advertising to an industry that has not been able to prevent it since the Middle Ages, which is a drug industry. So in every country, there are illegal drugs. And nobody's able to do, sorry for the French, nobody's able to do much about it. Yes, there's a fighting keeps going on every level, societal level, police level, government level, but drugs have not been eradicated because there's a huge demand. As long as there's demand for illegal drugs, there will be drug dealers. As long as people are demanding content, demanding access, demanding free access, or giving up their data and protection rights and their own time and attention, this is not going to stop. I think that's not a terrible analogy. I think it's a terrible analogy, but it makes sense.
No.
Or am I just as pessimistic as you are?
Well, actually, I'm totally agree with that, and I don't think that it's a terrible analogy, because virtual reality, as we predict in the doomsday scenario, is further than the drug, because that's why I started my presentation and my history with being a superhero. It's a funny analogy, but virtual reality allows anybody to be a superhero by creating a fully digitally created 3D environment. So it can actually take you from your physical burden, your physical real life, and put you in a comfortable, entertaining, very friendly, and very, very happy life. So we seriously see the science, see the future that we actually watched in the science fiction movies. The people will not want to unbind themselves from that virtual reality in the future, and they don't want to get back to real life, because real life sucks actually for many.
Yeah, I mean, every time I read something about VR, I can't help but think about the Ready Player One. Now it's going to be Ready Player Two coming over, and the books are amazing as well. But it's really interesting to see how what is about to happen feels like there's no avoiding it, it is just going to take time, and it will just take massive amounts of money to deploy these technologies. And we'll see what the future will bring us. It seems super exciting for the good users and the bad users. It's like nuclear energy. Like you can get rid of all the fossil fuel and turn it into nuclear energy, which doesn't create a lot of carbon dioxide emissions, but it's freaking dangerous. You can bomb the crap out of people. Exactly. So I think the consciousness is the right word, and I am trying to develop a habit of trying to finish every session I manage or moderate with a positive note. So tell us what is positive about the whole emergence of the technology. What are we going to be able to do to better our lives with VR?
Well, actually, we see some solid examples during this COVID age. The peace of mind would be the best use of the virtual reality in every sense. When we are sitting in our homes, when we are not able to get out from our homes, from the technologies that I just shared, you can actually smell a lavender garden. From the comfort of your home, you can actually experience some mindfulness by just laying down next to the sea on a beach that you like most, and you just experience that mindfulness. So I guess the best part for the virtual reality will be about the psychological effects. It will be cure for many psychological sickness, as well as, of course, many physical sicknesses as well, and disabilities. But it may, everything, if you exaggerate it, it will be kind of
everything in moderation. Even poison in moderation helps. So
exactly. As long as you don't exaggerate, it won't ruin your life. But if you exaggerate it, it will ruin your life. So that's what I think, I guess.
So great one. We didn't plan this, but there's actually a startup in Izmir called Visutate. They have been able to develop a virtual reality meditation app, which they are currently testing. So Orkun Hoca, I'm going to send the recording of this. I have no shares, full compliance. I'm just a mentor to them. But I think what they're doing is one of the good things that will happen with VR. Immersing yourself with an experience with loved ones that are far away, and immersing yourself with mindful activities and connectivity. Connectivity is not the worst thing. The connectivity can be used for the better future.
Exactly.
So anyways, I wish we had more time. Probably we should do this again. But this was the fourth panel, fourth session of Techstars Startup Week Next Gen. Thank you, Tuğra. Good luck with Rigel Tech. We will have our last session in 5 minutes. So stay tuned and see you tomorrow. All bye from me. Thank you.
See you. I thank you. Bye.